You know, most of us spend our entire lives building something to leave behind for our families. We save, we invest, and we plan. But what if one of the most common acts of generosity, simply gifting an asset to a loved one, was actually a hidden financial trap? Well, today, we're pulling back the curtain on a crucial tax rule that can make all the difference between a legacy that thrives and one that gets hit with a massive and totally unexpected tax bill. Think about that for a second. A single oversight, often made with the absolute best intentions, can unintentionally burden the very people you care about most. It's this strange paradox of generosity. The act of giving something valuable away today can trigger a huge tax problem for your family tomorrow. We are going to unravel this today. We'll explain exactly how this happens and, more importantly, how you can make sure your legacy is protected right down to the last dollar.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to pinpoint the common mistake. Then, we'll get into why this is so critical right now. After that, we'll break down the 2 key tax ideas you need to know, give you a clear protection plan, reframe this whole thing as a final gift, and then leave you with 1 critical action to take. So, let's dive in. So, what is this hidden danger that so many well-meaning families fall into? We like to call it the heirloom tax mistake, and it really just revolves around a basic misunderstanding of how assets get taxed when they're passed from one generation to the next. Now, this isn't about finding sketchy loopholes or anything like that. It's about legally and smartly using the rules the IRS has already put in place to fully benefit your heirs. You're probably thinking, okay, but why is this so urgent right now? And the answer, really, is all about the incredible growth we've seen in asset values over the last few decades. I mean, for so many families, the value of their homes, their stock portfolios, it's just grown exponentially. Just think about a house bought in the 80s or some stocks you picked up in the 90s. That growth is amazing for building wealth, but it also means there's this huge amount of untaxed appreciation just sitting there. And that, my friends, is where the risk lies. Let's make this really concrete. Let's say you bought a home way back in 1985. The average price then was around $80,000. Now, at the time, that was a big investment, but it felt manageable. You lived there, maybe raised a family, you made a lifetime of memories. And over the years, it became way more than just a house. It became the family home, a place filled with history. Okay, now let's hit the fast forward button to today. That very same home is now worth on average around $420,000. The sheer scale of that jump is, well, it's staggering. It's a testament to a fantastic long-term investment for sure, but from a tax perspective, it also represents a massive capital gain just sitting there on paper. So the difference between what you paid and what it's worth now is $340,000 in untaxed gains. Now, here's the trap. If you decide to just gift that house to your kids while you're alive, thinking you're doing this wonderful thing for them, you could unknowingly be handing them a future tax bill on that entire $340,000. This is the heirloom tax mistake, right in action. The technical name for this problem is carryover basis. It's a simple idea, but it's so important. When you gift an asset, the person receiving it doesn't just get the asset, they also inherit your original cost basis, that $80,000 number from our example. That low basis literally carries over to them. So if they turn around and sell that house for $420,000, the IRS sees a $340,000 profit, and your loved ones are the ones stuck paying the capital gains tax on it. Okay, so if that's the problem, what on earth is the solution? This is really the turning point of our whole conversation, the light at the end of the tunnel. It's about understanding that there are 2 different ways to transfer an asset, and they create 2 completely different tax outcomes. It all comes down to choosing the right tax starting line for your heirs.
I absolutely love this analogy because it makes everything so much clearer. An asset's cost basis is simply the number that the IRS starts counting from to figure out a taxable gain. So if that starting line is low, the taxable gain is going to be high. But if the starting line is high, the taxable gain is low, or maybe even 0. The entire goal here is to give your heirs the highest possible tax starting line the law allows.
And this is how you do it. The solution is this incredibly powerful provision in the tax code called the step-up in basis. And it exists for a reason, to prevent what's essentially a form of double taxation. When an asset is inherited, meaning it passes to your heirs after you pass away, the tax starting line gets a huge reset. The cost basis gets stepped up to whatever the asset's fair market value is on that day. In a single moment, all those decades of built-up capital gains are legally wiped away for tax purposes. It's literally like hitting the reset button on capital gains.
Let's just look at this side by side. This table lays it out so clearly. On that top row, if you gift the asset, your heir gets your original low-cost basis. That's their starting line. The result when they sell? A high capital gains tax. But now look at the bottom row. If they inherit that exact same asset, their starting line becomes the value at the time of death, the stepped-up basis. The result? Little to no capital gains tax. The difference is it's huge.
Here's the math in black and white. Let's say it's a stock portfolio you bought for 50 grand years ago. Today, it's worth $450,000. In the gifting scenario, if your heir sells it, they're looking at a taxable gain of $400,000. That can mean a tax bill of $60,000, $80,000, maybe even $100,000. But in the inheritance scenario, the basis steps up to $450,000. They sell it for that price, the taxable gain is zero, the taxable is zero. That money saved isn't just a number, that's a down payment on a house, that's college for a grandchild. That's the real power of this rule.
So the crucial takeaway is understanding this profound difference between gifting and inheriting. But how do you actually apply this knowledge safely and effectively? Well, it doesn't have to be complicated. We can break it down into a pretty simple 4-step legacy protection plan.
Let's walk through these. First, and this is the big one, avoid the impulse to gift assets that have grown a ton in value, like your home or that big stock portfolio. Let them pass through your estate instead. Second, take a little time to audit the cost basis of your major assets. Do you have the records for what you paid for your house, plus major improvements, or those stocks you've held for 30 years? Knowing these numbers helps you really understand what's at stake. Third, plan for a formal appraisal at the right time. The IRS needs proof of an asset's fair market value to grant the step-up. It's not optional, it's the key that unlocks the whole benefit. And finally, of course, consult with professionals. A good estate planning attorney or tax advisor can make sure your entire plan is structured correctly for your specific situation. Now, here's a really critical point. This step-up in basis rule is incredibly powerful, but it doesn't apply to everything. Specifically, it does not apply to tax-deferred retirement accounts, like your traditional IRAs or 401ks. The money in those accounts has never been taxed, so it follows a totally different set of rules for beneficiaries. This is exactly why getting professional advice is so important, to make sure you're applying the right strategy to the right asset. As we start to wrap this up, I want to shift our perspective for just a moment. We've been talking about taxes and rules and strategies, and it can all feel very technical. But at its core, this isn't just about financial mechanics. It's about a mindset. It's about seeing this type of planning as an act of profound care and foresight for your family. Truly, taking the time to structure your estate this way is one of the greatest final financial gifts you can possibly give. It ensures that the full value of your life's work, all the saving and the investing and the sacrifices, is preserved for the people you love. It gives them security and peace of mind, free from the stress of a massive, unexpected, and completely avoidable tax liability. Okay, so we have covered a lot of ground. We've identified the common mistake, we've explained the powerful solution, and we've laid out a clear plan. Now, let's just boil it all down to the single most important takeaway and the one action you can take to safeguard your family's future. If you remember only one thing from our time together today, please let it be this. The heirloom tax mistake is gifting highly appreciated assets while you are alive. It comes from a place of generosity, I know, but it inadvertently forfeits the single most powerful tax benefit available to your heirs.
And now let's bring this all home. The key to avoiding this mistake, the very heart of this entire strategy, is the step-up in basis. It's the beautiful mechanism the tax code provides to reset that tax starting line, effectively erasing decades of taxable gains for your heirs and just giving them a clean slate.
The method to secure this powerful benefit is simple and clear. Making sure your most appreciated assets are transferred through inheritance, not as lifetime gifts. This simple choice in timing and method makes all the difference in the world for your family's financial outcome.
And the final piece of the puzzle, the proof you need to make it all official with the IRS, is a formal appraisal. This document is what establishes that new, higher cost basis, locking in those incredible tax savings for your family. It is the non-negotiable step that makes this whole thing work. And so we end with this question. After everything we've talked about, is your current plan set up to give your family this incredible advantage? Just remember that a small investment in expert tax and legal advice today is one of the most powerful ways to ensure your family keeps the maximum inheritance tomorrow.
Taking that single step is what transforms a well-intentioned legacy into a financially secure one. And that, right there, provides a peace of mind that is truly priceless.